All right, well, I am here with Stephanie Christensen, and she is the Executive Director of ShelterBox Canada, is that right? And have you traveled all the way here from Ontario?
I have. I came in from Toronto 2 days ago, and I go back tonight.
Oh, you know what? I'm so glad you're here. My daughter has been a donor of ShelterBox when she was 9. She had a birthday, donated her money, but I don't think we fully completed a box. She had about $250, but I think a full box is $1,000. But first, to the viewers who don't know what ShelterBox is, what is ShelterBox?
So ShelterBox is an international disaster relief charity that hand delivers emergency shelter and all of the supplies that families need to rebuild and recover their lives after either natural disasters or conflict.
So how long has ShelterBox been doing this?
ShelterBox started in the UK in 2000, and we've been in Canada since 2010.
Yeah. So now, as we see behind us, we see a very large, obviously a tent, but it's very specially made, and then all these items, so they all fit into a box, the shelter box, and they get shipped out. You've been there 5 years?
Yes.
And how have you been to any of these places where you see the benefit of these shelter boxes?
Yeah, so I went to Fiji after Cyclone Winston, which was a Category 5. I went to Ecuador after the earthquake in 2016, and I just got back from the Philippines where we were checking on the families that we responded, that we helped after Cyclone Urdua.
And what are you seeing there when you get there?
So each time it's a little different. It depends on the disaster, but ShelterBox works directly with the communities, with local Rotary clubs to understand the need, and then we tailor our aid to the specific needs of that community. So we work with that community, we train them, and basically empower them to recover themselves. So we see an amazing community strength and get to meet these people who have really lost everything but see the value and the hope that is given when they receive a new home.
So let's talk about this new home that they're receiving. They get this box right here, one of these green boxes, and everything in it. So let's talk about a few of the items.
So ShelterBox specializes in emergency shelter. So we have 5 different tents. The one that you can see here is our standard relief tent. All of our tents are good to 100-kilometer-hour winds, monsoon rains, and for a family of 5. And we choose the best option based on climate. So we have a tent that's good at -40, and we also have a really great hot weather tent with a big covered porch for shade and really good ventilation. Also shelter-wise, we have a shelter kit, which is heavy-duty tarps, tools, and building materials if a tent isn't the right option, and that way people can repair their home or build a locally appropriate shelter. And then with any of those shelter options, whichever is the best one, we can provide some of these items. So cooking equipment, pots and pans and dishes, solar lights. These are amazing. They're lightweight, waterproof, and we don't always think about how important light is in disasters, but in a natural disaster, humans aren't the only ones displaced. So you might have a giant snake outside of your tent or sharp debris when you're going to the bathroom. So having light, and so kids can do their homework at night in the tent, and you can spend time as a family not sitting in the dark. And then in conflict situations, women are a lot safer walking in refugee camps if they have light, and they're less likely to be sexually assaulted. So we put 2 of these in every box. We also provide water filters if they're needed. So our water filter will actually stop letting water out if it can't filter 100% of the bacteria. So we make sure that no matter what, people don't have unsafe drinking water. We provide carriers as well. We have blankets, ground sheets, mosquito nets. If we're working in a cold climate, we have hats and mitts. We also provide children's activity packs, which have a notebook and pencil crayons and a coloring book and a little teddy, just to give kids something of their own to own again if they've lost absolutely everything, and to give parents a little break. They're dealing with a lot, and it's nice to have that. So all of these items we customize. So if a family just needs a tent and a water carrier, that's what they get. If they need everything, they get everything.
Now I see like a camp stove over here. Is that something that would go in a package?
Yeah, so that's an older version of the stove we use now, so we're constantly trying to update what goes in the box to provide the best aid items possible. But if people do need a stove, then we have different types of stoves that we can provide. What we've found is in most countries people cook over open fires, and if that's their preference, then we just won't put the stove in, but we have it if it's needed.
Now many of these communities, they could be displaced for a long time, so these are lasting. What happens when they finally do build a place, or they've may found themselves in a better situation? What happens to a tent like this?
Yeah, so ShelterBox is meant to be emergency shelter. We don't want people to be stuck in these forever, obviously. Unfortunately, our tents are still up in Haiti after the earthquake in 2010, so they are built to last. But in most cases, we don't go back for any of our aid items. Things like the pots and pans, people will probably keep forever. They're excellent quality. But we've had people, once they've rebuilt their home, they've used the tent as their business, as a little shop. We've had people sell it to get whatever they need next in their recovery phase. Unfortunately, we have people keep it for the next time a disaster comes through. So no matter what, all of this goes back into the local economy and helps strengthen that community building that we're aiming for.
Wow, I mean, it's an amazing program. Can you share, maybe, do you have any story that you could share that just tugged at your heart? Anything specific that comes to mind?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot. I've met the most inspirational people everywhere I've gone, but one that personally touched me and is really why I go to work every morning is from Fiji. So Fiji was hit by a Category 5 cyclone, which would be the same as a Category 5 hurricane here. And I was working on the island of Ovalau, which is not a tourist island at all, and I met this woman, Diane, who lives in a village called Toku, and it's actually below sea level. So every day when the tide comes in, the grass gets swampy. And I'm a sucker for babies, and Diane was holding her small baby Yukimi, and so I went over and asked her to just tell me a little bit of what it was like during the storm. And she said everyone went to the community center because it's the only fully concrete building, and that they could hear their roofs being ripped off homes and these massive old trees falling down, and that it was really terrifying because it was in the middle of the night, so it was pitch black. And if that wasn't bad enough, then the storm surge came in, and she explained that they had water up to their armpits and had to hold their kids above their head for hours while they waited for the water to recede. And when they finally were able to get out after that, everything was gone. No homes, no possessions, no food, no safe water. And to be in that position for anybody, but especially with a young baby, would be terrifying. And so I personally helped set up Diane's tent with her, and the look of relief on her face to have a place of her own again, to have possessions, to have somewhere safe for her baby, is why I go to work. It's not just shelter, it's a home and the ability to restart.
Okay, so that was a happy moment. Thank you. I'm a sucker for those two. Anything I've missed asking you, because you have such an amazing story? I would hate for you to go like, oh, I forgot to ask you this, because what you do is unbelievable. It's amazing.
Well, I think the thing I like most about ShelterBox is you know exactly what your money is going to. You can see the aid items. This is it. We work directly with the communities. We try to reach the most remote and most vulnerable communities that wouldn't otherwise receive aid, and we provide them with what they need. And so any that you can contribute helps. It's $1,200 for an entire box, so that's a tent and all the aid items. And our shelter kits are $150, but really every bit helps, and we're honored to be able to do a little bit.
And do you still track where the box goes if someone makes a donation? Do you let them know, the donor know where the box is going?
So we've gotten a little bigger that we aren't able to do that quite the same way anymore. So we can let you know what aid items were provided and where it goes if you just give us a call, but we don't do the actual tracking anymore.
And how can people make a donation?
They can go to shelterboxcanada.org or send a check to our office, and all of that's on our website.
Good. Oh, well, thank you so much, Stephanie. You're amazing, and you do great work.
Thank you so much.
All right, well, that is Stephanie Christensen. She is the Executive Director of ShelterBox Canada. She is in Regina. We are very lucky to have her here and share her story. So consider making a donation to ShelterBox. You'll be making someone's life just a little bit better in the time of a disaster. Thanks.